Hello there, and welcome to Sweet Child of Time. I'm your host, Steve Barnes, and today we're discussing the last episode of Season 3, Wheel of Time. Very much might be the last episode of Wheel of Time, period. Before we begin, I just wanted to do a little, eulogy for this TV show, Wheel of Time, because even though we're doing the Save Wheel of Time, and I encourage people to go to the Save WOT campaign, they have billboards now in Times Square. They're really ramping up this campaign, and our pal Moraine, I always forget her name, Rosamund Pike, is also on board and being very vocal about her support to continue Wheel of Time. We want to continue this, but from what I can see, this is going to be the last episode of Sweet Child of Time that's focused on Wheel of Time. So I just wanted to say a little bit about what Wheel of Time means to me. I started reading this book around 2016, 2017. So I'm not an old school dude or anything of those respects, but this book came to me because I vastly needed escapism in my life at the time. In the books that I was reading, the fantasy books that I used for escapism, I was looking for somewhere else to turn. Wheel of Time fell into my lap, and I really needed it at that time of my life. And it put me through a lot. Skating with my daughter, we went through like about 4 or 5 years of competitive skating. So as a parent, I had to sit in those skating rinks a lot, do a lot of waiting in the car, that kind of thing. And Wheel of Time is what I was doing every day to get me through these days with Charlotte. So it has really made a big impact on me. I named my dog after a Wheel of Time character, so that tells you something. Wheel of Time really got us through the pandemic as well, because I was really heavy into reading this book during the pandemic. And it was around the pandemic that the TV show became about. So first off, I could share this with my wife, Heather, because previously I've been reading these books by myself. I had no one to talk about them with. And Heather, of course, she wasn't reading these books. I wasn't interested. But with the TV show, now I could share these characters with her and share some of these conversations, and she could be part of this. And then when I wanted to make a podcast, James and myself brainstormed a few ideas, and Wheel of Time is what we hit on. So that is kind of what the podcast has been structured around. That was our flagship show. And that's what helped me and James through all of these conversations. So where do we go next? We're not exactly sure. There's been some rumors that we might cover HBO's Welcome to Derry with Lindsey Dunn. Lindsey and myself have already recorded an episode we did the discussion of the movie Here, 2024 Robert Zemeckis film, and you'll be hearing that next week. James and myself have talked about doing Highlander the series. There's 32 of the best of episodes. We'd kind of like to plow through that. We've also talked about doing Time Squad from Cartoon Network. So these are 3 options we have to go. I'm kind of leaning towards the Highlander series, but now is a good time to bring in James so we can see what he thinks about what's happening from here on. So let me bring in our co-host, James McCullum. You know him as the Marshland Monster. He's MLMpod.com. James McCullum. Ahoy there, James.
It's been me this whole time. I am a book cloak. Steve thought I had never read these. I'm just a good actor. I know. Should have done any research into any of the names. Can I think of you're always talking like, here comes the dragon. I said I know more. Karen's little sister. Karen's witch party. Am I just trying to pull a Babysitter Club ones now? Yeah, I am.
Like it. James, how could you do this to me? So you have been helping all along in this agenda. You've known the ending all along. Yeah. A secret undercover book cloak. How dare you? Yeah. Podcast over.
Million moms know, one me.
James, even you book cloaks have emotions about how this show ends. And please, I don't want to play along with this book cloak thing anymore. Yeah. You're not a book cloak, James. No. I love you more than that. What are your thoughts about this dang show ending?
With our current world events and such, a really downer way to end this story, to just be like, yeah, you want to know what? The terrible people won. The people who are they're not even trying to do this for malicious reasons. They just want power. Mm-hmm. Those are the people who will win, and they will always be winning.
Well, you mean unless there's another season to continue the story? Like you're saying the TV show ends at this point
Yeah.
And the dark one wins.
Well, no, not even the dark one wins.
Just the chosen then.
No, what are those people? The Aes Sedai right now. That's what I'm specifically saying.
Oh, the tower.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like
God.
Mageddon escaping with the thingy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying like, hey, this is technically. I'm trying to think of a word to kind of summate how like a governing body operates. Like, I don't know, maybe like a constitution, if you will, of saying like this is what I was elected to protect and uphold, and oh, you guys don't give a shit about that? Okay, all right, never mind.
Eladia was compared to certain political figures, the way she took over, and yeah, she came true this episode, and there was a really big, vast difference too. We're going to get political.
Vast deference.
We don't know anything about that at all. Neither one of us knew anything about that.
We said, cut it out.
Out of here. Here in Virginia, we had multiple like lieutenant governors we could have voted for, all Democratic, but some of them like came from a lot of money and came from a lot of power, and some of them came to where they are through like grassroots organizations. And there's one particular candidate that myself and my wife voted for, and that's what she's kind of banked on, is that every one of her donations that she's gotten has been like $100 or less. And she's like in one of the top 3 spots, and she kind of reminds me of like a Suan. Like she's like scrappy from like the water. She like doesn't have a lot of decorations about her. And then you have Elida, and she's all crowned, all adorned, all done up in all kinds of jewelry and finery, and she's got all this, evil, questionable backing behind her. So I'm seeing a very direct parallel between Virginia Race and these guys right now.
The lady you voted for is like, I was from a river that was surrounded on both sides of the Appalachian Mountains.
That's right.
I don't believe in the Mothman, but I believe in the Mothman.
I just know she's anti-casino, and that's all. The other guys are all like, give us money so we can make casinos.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got, us normal folk who are like, I don't think we want to go down that route. Yeah. So we're trying to rail against that here. We're railing against the dark one on Wheel of Time. I wanted to ask you before we get to our Wheel of Time talk, though, James, because, the show being canceled, dagger to the heart, of course, and this is not the first time this has happened. So I know there's like 3 specific shows I already have thought about that have been canceled before their time was due. I asked you if you had 3 shows or if any shows that you were really into that have been canceled. Should I go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
I'd love to. Okay. Of course, Wheel of Time, but goes without saying, 1899 is a show that I was also podcasted, and that was like the height of my podcast popularity was covering that. So of course I was bummed, but there was 2 more planned seasons, and they only planned to go for 3 seasons of this show. They had the story all mapped out. So for that to be canceled after 1 season was really upsetting. Back when I was much younger, Freaks and Geeks was a show that was canceled after only 1 season, ended on a cliffhanger. I mean, maybe it was a good thing that show was canceled because, that cast then went on to have like huge careers.
Yeah.
And I think that was the right path for all of them. But for me, at the time, 1990 or whenever it was upsetting. And then even before that, my favorite show, My So-Called Life, was canceled. Also unexpectedly, also on a huge cliffhanger. Also a teenage, I guess that's something that these 2 shows have in common. I dug when I was a teenager. Both of them, the rug swept out from under them. And in all cases, like all the parties have gone on to bigger and better things. Unfortunately, in 1899, one of those actors went on to become a Wheel of Time actor and have a more predominant role as Tom Maryland. And now that's been taken away from him too. So I'm really bummed for that dude. How about you, James? What kind of shows in your life have gone the dark way?
My first experience with this was a show called Brimstone.
Okay. Never heard of it.
I mean, it really defines what I am in the sense of like, what does James like? Of course, he's going to like Spawn. My Pretty Face is Going to Hell. Because of Brimstone, it was a man. He was a police officer, I think, or a detective. His wife is assaulted. The person goes free. So he then kills that person. But on his way home, he is struck by a car in a car accident. He dies. So he goes to hell. So the devil then, like years later, demons escape, and he's like, well, there's only one good guy here, and this is this guy. Like he unfortunately, he killed someone right before he died. He couldn't repent with this and that. So he brings this guy back to life in order to wrangle all these demons. It only had one season. My dad and I loved the show. I remember in elementary school, I was talking, someone was like, oh, what shows do you like? It was some bully girl. It was during wintertime, and a big snow pile would be plowed in the center of the playground because that's like where the parking lot was.
Oh, bummer.
So all the kids would like hang out on it and like throw everything and just be wild and crazy on it. I was explaining Brimstone, and she, pretty much the equivalent of like calling a like 5-year-old the F slur, pushed me down, and then my nose was just bleeding everywhere. I remember sitting in the nurse's office, and then my sister walked in to like get something from the principal's office, and then sees me just like nose bleeding. She starts crying, but I'm like, hey, Louise. And it was, that's a core memory. But Brimstone rocks. You can find it some places online, but it didn't leave a big mark.
What a memory, though. I mean, geez, your sister was crying on your behalf when she saw you?
Yeah, because I used to get bloody noses like a champ in the day, but this one was aggressively. It would just
like
look
Andrew
like
WK
so much.
style, yeah.
Yeah. And then Sam and Max, that should have gotten so many more seasons. Course. I love that show.
I forgot about that one being canceled. I didn't actually realize it was canceled. So it was canceled before its time?
It had one season. I would say that is, especially for how good it was, but they just didn't have any toys. That was the biggest issue. They had no merchandise. They should have been releasing the comic as a like collected edition during that time, or reissuing the comic. It sucks that didn't get more. Or like, hey, LucasArts, let's do another video game. It was supposed to get a video game, but then they did some restructuring and said, we're only doing Star Wars at LucasArts.
I mean, same here with Wheel of Time. They could have done like action figures, T-shirts, marketing, all kinds of stuff that they did not do. And they are now putting out a video game that looks like it may or may not be decent. Some people are against it because it's like the Red Eagle is in charge of this production. But I mean, I don't know. They're still going to continue on with this franchise, but not as strong as they should be. TV show, man. And you have a third, or is that the only two you got for us?
I have a few more.
Oh,
this
go for
one,
it.
Every single time it was unjustly canceled. Yeah, it has like 15 seasons, but Mystery Science Theater 3000, it should be going on forever.
That's correct. That's a show with legs that could just go on forever.
Recently, though, Mythic Quest on Apple TV.
I didn't realize that was canceled. I thought that was a new show.
Luckily, Apple allowed them to reshoot the like final scenes to make it an actual ending point, opposed to the cliffhanger, like, what the fuck just happened? I'm so excited for the next season. And I watched it a little, like, maybe a month after the final episode. So I was like, yes, I'm so excited. Let me see what other people are saying about the ending of this. And the first thing that comes up, it was like 14 hours old. Hey, it just got canceled. And I'm like, no. But in a rare move, Apple allowed them to reshoot the ending and a month later put out like an actual ending to the show instead of the cliffhanger. I like Archive 81 on Netflix.
Of course. Yeah, that's a good
that one fucking... How that
potential.
Like stop ending on cliffhangers unless it is so baked into your contract that it would cost whoever's putting and paying for it more money to cancel it. That's the only reason you should be putting in a cliffhanger. Then Masked Rider, Bible Man, and Los Luchadores, those are kids tokusatsu shit. Bible Man should be forever.
I mean, it does have a potential audience of like half of America right there.
Yes. Exactly. I will write Bible Man for just a base like slightly above the poverty line, okay, guys?
And I'll southern it up for you so it can like appeal to the Southerners as well.
Oh, yeah. We really need that. Not this Willie Ames Hollywood bullshit.
It seems like a lot of shows on the Marshland Media Network are getting we've named like 5 or 6 shows that we've covered on our podcast collectively, and no endings for these guys. I want to go back to Mythic Quest, though, if I may. Am I able to watch like the cliffhanger ending and the new ending, or can I only watch the new ending?
My guess is you can watch both.
But I'd have to dig for it though somewhere.
Maybe or maybe not. They might have just put that out on YouTube and said like, hey, here's if you wanted to watch this cliffhanger ending.
Okay, well, since it has an ending, I'm kind of interested in doing it. I thought it was a new show, and I haven't like watched it because it looks like a new show to me, and I just haven't gotten into it yet. But now that I know that it has an ending to it, and I can like watch like what 8-10 episodes of it, and
well, no, it had 4 seasons.
Oh, dang, my head's in the sand, James. Yeah. Sometimes I'm way behind the times.
I think it started in like 2019-ish.
Okay.
And it got through the pandemic and then it's banger writing. Do you like Megan Gaines? Did you watch Community?
No, I don't know who Megan Gaines is either.
Okay. She's just a top-notch writer, but after Community, she found herself at Always Sunny in Philadelphia and then just writing banger episodes over there. So she teamed up with the Always Sunny crew and did that.
I'm looking for more things to watch now, James. Can you tell?
It rocks. Watch Mythic Quest.
All right. Yeah, did you have anything else? I did have something else I wanted to go over with you, James.
What's that?
What do you think about the future? Would you rather do like some Highlander the series like we discussed, or would you rather do some Time Squad, or would you rather lay low for a bit and we can do some movies? Not you and I, but I could do some movies with some other guests.
Highlander. I think based on the numbers we were getting on Death to Squids on the Marshland Media podcast feed, wherever podcasts are found, Highlander does well. So I think especially the Highlander series, and we're only talking about the best episodes, people will follow us and start, especially on YouTube, watching.
Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure that's something you wanted to watch as well, because I mean, for me, I love listeners. Of course, obviously, I want listeners. I'm a podcaster. I promote myself, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I hate to say it, but my number one objective is to have fun talking about shows. So that's the main thing I want to do. So whatever you're enthusiastic about, I will be on board with.
One of Jose and I's and Nicole's favorite things about watching the Highlander movies was seeing Duncan MacLeod. Yes, Duncan. Yes. Do a quickening because he was over the top and campy. It's like, okay, calm down. We don't want people to think this is a euphemism for ejaculating. You are doing that, dude.
You know, I kind of thought about that with the name of this episode, He Who Comes with the Dawn, but I'm going to try to keep it PG because that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this episode title. Have you watched any of the Highlander series, though, at this point?
Just the first episode.
Okay, yes. I've watched it recently myself just to get back into the groove and to hear that Queen song one more time. That's my favorite thing is that theme song. And nobody can beat that one.
And I will save my Highlander rankings because Jose and I, we watched all of them minus the anime. And I will say there was only one bad one, like absolutely will never watch this again. And it is not the one anyone is thinking of.
Well, we will need to go back into Highlander history. So we will do that on the first episode we record about that because I've forgotten a lot of the lore from the movies. I don't know if I need to rewatch those or not, or just use you as my reference point.
And you listened to all those episodes, right?
Yes, I did. But I didn't watch the movies, though.
But you heard trivia and all of that, so you're thrown in more than you should be.
That's right. And yeah, I would recommend that. Even though I haven't seen these Highlander movies for 20 plus years, listening to James talk about them with Jose was I could definitely like relive these scenes in my mind as they were talking about them, and I could see these scenes again. And the only one I really wanted to rewatch was the first one. I didn't have any urges to rewatch any past that.
I would say rewatch the second one, specifically that fan edit we watched. It rocked so hard. I'll send you a link.
I do like these fan edits. Somebody did do a fan edit, or they were talking about doing a fan edit of the Wheel of Time, and they were gonna take the 3 seasons of the show and do like a book cloak approved remix and like just include all the stuff from the book and try to make it take the scenes, take the dialogue and arrange it in such a way that it follows the book faithfully, which is quite possible. I don't know if that exists yet, but I've been hearing a lot about the WOT fan edit on YouTube, and I haven't thought about it in months. James just reminded me of it just now.
Well, for that Highlander 2 fan edit, it's not like, hey, let's try to make this cohesive. It's let's try to make this cohesive by including everything from every edit, even things that weren't released. They somehow got like dailies of things that were just a part of production. They scanned those in at like 4K and got those looking beautiful. They put a lot of time and effort into it. It rocks. Let's move on to Wheel of Time, but I will find the name of that edit real quick.
And I'm going to put it in the show notes because we're talking about it. We're going to be talking about Highlander soon. So I think everybody should maybe check out that fan edit. I'm definitely going to. James is correct, though. We should be talking about Wheel of Time, episode 8 of season 3, He Who Comes with the Dawn. And we're not going to go quite in show order because we have 3 distinct settings here. So I'm going to go through these 3 distinct settings as they are. And I want to start with the White Tower. And coincidentally enough, that's the first scene that we see in this episode is we see 10 years ago at the White Tower. It's a stormy night, and there's a vote for the Armorillan seat, and it's down to 2 ladies. We got Swan and we got Elida, and we see Elida steps through this red mysterious doorway, and she's fingering this bracelet that she has, and we see her playing with this bracelet a lot. And because of this episode, what we see with Matt later on, we kind of get a very good idea of where she got that bracelet and what its potential powers are. Because these red doorways that she just stepped through is the doorway to the Eelfin and the Aelfin worlds. And we don't see that here much. But I'm going to ask you, James, when the Matt scene happened later on, did you remember this scene? Or am I reminding you now about it?
You are reminding me about because it just really just like that. I thought it was just a normal door, or I thought it was the doorways that we had seen previously when the new Aes Sedai walk through, and it's like, hopefully you don't get lost.
Right. Yep. So, yeah, she went and had a little visit with that fox man off camera. We don't get to see it, but apparently whatever happened there, she comes out on top. She's got this bracelet, and apparently what she asked that dude is if she could be the Armorillan seat. And the guy said yes. So she comes out full of confidence, like, hey, Alvarian, my little buddy, remember, I got your favor, right? Alvarian doesn't say anything, but we kind of get the gist that she's going to vote for Elida. But really what Alvarian does is like sticks mud in Elida's eye quite handily. Because when it comes time for her to vote, she stands up and it seems like she's going to be for Elida, but that's when we get the Swan like avalanche of votes. And so, yeah, did you like Alvarian's move there, or did you think that was a little shisty?
I just was confused because it seemed like that. But now with the context of she met that Fox dude, it works because he's like, hey, you didn't set a price. You didn't set parameters with Matt. So that was his price. Your price is you are going. How long ago was it? It was 10 years?
10 years ago.
It seems like Swan had been in power for like 40 years because people are like, oh my God, like she's really been working and this and that. So that part's weird. But to know that she had to lose and she's like, oh, I thought this guy was going to give me that, and then have to be at some castle for 10 years. And then finally, oh, that was the price to pay. I had to wait 10 years. Yeah, it makes sense. But damn, dude, it sucks this show's done.
I agree. Like, we got some really neat stuff here because we get a clear view of like which Aes Sedai are on Swan's side and which are on Elida's side based on their votes. We see like their old uniforms with the logos on their chest here. And also like of note is like at least one sitter from each of the colored Ajas voted for Swan with the exception of the red. Somebody from every other Aja stepped up for her, which kind of tells you she's got the favor of the whole tower. And 11 votes is all it takes. 11 sitters, not 11 people, but 11 of like the head dudes. So that's all it takes.
And it sucks that you can form one of these meetings with just 11. So if you do it in secrecy and it's the 11 that you know will vote for you, that sucks. It needs to be a percentage of people there, not... But no, even then, because then if you only need 11 people there to actually hold an official meeting and you only need 11 to seat the throne, you could do it so easily. But, you know, the people who would be there, they were captured or not captured. They were held. You know, we'll get into that later.
I mean, this is just another example of the many things the tower has done wrong. in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And, we kind of lay that at Swan's feet a lot in this episode, but it's more than just that. The whole structure of the tower needs revamping because, like you said, if only 11 people can get together and make a vote and like overthrow the entire tower, that's a pretty big crack that people can step through, a big loophole. I think that loophole needs to be closed up, and we're not getting there this way.
Yeah.
So like I said, like Swan is confronted by Leanne, and Leanne is like, you haven't done a really great job in this past 10 years of having us on your side. You want us to, back you in this whole dragon thing, but you never told us why, and you're keeping everything secret, and, it just doesn't seem like you're on the right path. Yeah, and she makes Leanne like a false promise here. She's like, yeah, I hear you. Now get out of my sight so I can get back to my paperwork. Meanwhile, Elydia is quickly putting a counterplot into motion. We see her like she's arranging her jewelry all smugly. So that reminds us like this jewelry has a power that she's able to do something with. It's a little unclear, but we do know that with her little jingling of her jewelry, that 8 reds have left the tower suddenly and unexpectedly. And that's like a warning flag to the other Aes Sedai, especially Swan. Like that's the number of reds it takes to like capture a man. So they're up to some crap. Get all my strongest sisters and go get them. Pretty slick plan by Elydia, I gotta say.
Because also, she should know where about Rand is. And it's like, there's no way they're getting to him in any amount of time.
Well, nobody knows where Rand is. Because remember, Moghedien questioned Nynaeve and Elaine. And even they didn't know where Rand was. Nobody knows where he is.
Maybe Lanfear got into one of them and was like, hey, you got to do this. So if Swan doesn't know where he is, that should mean no one really does. And she should at least have the foresight to think he's very far away.
Right, sure. And meanwhile, the Reds are just sitting there having a picnic in the forest, the 8 of them. Viren and her like gang. Viren has like all the best sisters with her, all the ones who would like stop this illegal vote from happening. And the Reds are just chilling, having a picnic there. And case done. They've done this thing. I'm just going through their whole story here. So we're pretty much at the end here. Like Elydia has called this vote and she's closed the hall. The 11 votes have done it. Real quick overthrow. In addition, she's like blaming Swan, not just for being a weak leader, but for being a dark friend. And she says she needs to be stilled. I don't know if she's doing this because she wants to, because she has this personal vendetta against Swan, or if she's being coerced by some outside forces. Maybe even Alvarian has a say in this, because Alvarian is the one who pulls the blade at the end.
Who is Alvarian?
She is the white Aes Sedai. She has really dark black skin, and she is like this now she's now the second in command after Elydia. Okay. But they blame her for being a dark friend, and they still her like immediately. But before they can, Leanne jumps in. Leanne is like, "Don't you take my friend." And kind of a foolish move, and she gets stilled for it. I don't know if you were aware of that, because it wasn't until just now that both women were stilled at that time. Did you catch that?
Yeah, the act of Swan allowing herself to be stilled should be enough evidence that she is not a dark friend, because we saw this situation happen before when Leandrin was confronted with this. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to kill all of you," because they're allowed to kill Aes Sedai.
Yes.
But if you are a true Aes Sedai, you are not. Which makes me kind of am iffy about what's her nut?
Leanne?
Yeah, because she's like, "Oh, over my dead body." Like, unless she has she might be a dark friend, but we don't know.
There's a loophole there, because you're allowed to use the one power against anybody if they're threatening the life of somebody that you're trying to protect. So she, that's not like a dark friend move. Just want to point that out. I'm not saying she's not a dark friend, but
tell me, is she a dark friend in the books? You said like, hey, there's a few dark friends that we know for sure about, and it seems like we're not getting another season. So Who and if anyone's like, hey, I feel like I'm going to read the books.
Okay.
I don't want to know.
Okay.
I'm going to wait until the time is 32 minutes into the recording, which is in 20 seconds. Then we are just going to talk about this for 30 seconds, which will be a little bit less because of silence delete. So in 15 seconds, Steve, I want you to tell me who you think are dark friends in the tower. And this will be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 30 seconds on the clock.
Okay, the most important dark friend in the tower is Viren Sedai.
Whoa!
And actually, if I'm going to spoil this, I want to spoil it all the way. Viren is a double agent dark friend.
Whoa!
She became a dark friend in order to get on the side of the light and to take out the dark friends from without.
All right, hell yeah.
Viren is like one of the most kick-ass characters in the book, period.
All right, hey guys, you skipped 30 seconds. We got another 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, Alvarian. She is the one I was just talking about. She is the white. She also is a dark friend, and she is the one who's kind of leading all the dark friend stuff happening within the tower.
Dang.
So she's our second dark friend. Third dark friend is the one who teaches all the novices. Her name starts with an S. I can't remember her name.
30 more seconds, guys. Skip forward, okay?
But she was only in season 1, and she was teaching all the novices, and Nynaeve like drank the water just to piss her off.
Oh, no, yeah, I know her.
So those 3 ladies are definite dark friends.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. So, where was that? That was fun.
She got stilled.
Yeah, she got stilled. And you see that Leanne got stilled in such a way. It was just kind of swirling around her, got taken away. But because Swan has more intense power, it involved these arrows, which called back like our friend Alana getting shot with all those arrows. They're really arrow happy this season. I'm not digging it.
Mm-hmm. And later on in this episode, asphyxiation happy. 2 people get asphyxiated nearly.
Okay, sure. But at this point, Swan has got stilled. She's getting dragged away. And now the last final scene we have here at the tower is when the new Amaryllis seat, Elida, enters the room, and she's all regaled out looking like Queen Amidala, totally. And it's almost like you blink and you miss this news. I couldn't imagine being a novice in the tower and then everything's cool. Then 2 hours later, it's like, wait a second, there was a vote. We have a new seat and there's new rules around here. That's what's happening. Swan is brought before Elida to answer for her crimes. And this is where she gives pretty massive speech. This is a very speech-heavy episode. This was a really, A+. I haven't said it yet, but I love this episode. I thought all the acting was great. I didn't see anything wrong with any of... The only thing I didn't like was how much time people gave other people to talk while they stood there with their weapon waiting to kill them. That's something that always bothers me about every show. But other than that, this is A+. So Swan's giving this speech. She's saying things like, I love Moraine. She's like admitting her love for that. She's letting them know the world is changing. We are the power. We, the people, are what makes the light. The light shines through us. And I am light itself. You can kill me, but you can't destroy me because I am water itself. Mm-hmm. Elida looks scared during this whole speech, as she should be.
I think she is realizing maybe I did something wrong. Right,
because Elida's not a dark friend. I'm going to spoil that as well. I should have spoiled that way back then. She's power hungry. She sucks.
She's just an idiot.
Yeah, just like the children. She's not evil. She is evil, but not a dark friend.
Yeah.
But Alvarian is the one that sentences Swan to death, and she does the striking blow. And just like with the warders that are bonded with their Aes Sedai, because Moraine and Swan are bonded, but at the same time that this happens, Moraine is in the middle of battle in Lanfear, and she can tell that Swan is dying, and she gets a last burst of strength from Swan that we will talk about a little bit later on, but that really helps out. It inadvertently helps out Moraine, but Moraine gets the sense that Swan is dead here, and Moraine's grief is intense.
It's sad.
So she is the one who's crying for us, for Swan. But yeah, that's all the tower news that we have this episode, James. The tower is now in new hands. Everything's red over there, just like here in America right now. Sweet Shot of Time is brought to you by Zencastr. Zencastr is the way we record Sweet Shot of Time. We hook up with our guests via video and we record it on audio. Recently, we've been doing video podcasts with the cast of Time Bandits. It's easy using Zencastr. You can record video or audio. You can also edit your podcast or your video via Zencastr. Join Zencastr using my promo code Sweet Child of Time and you can get 30% off Zencastr. If you're ready to start your podcast, it's time to share your story. Share it with Zencastr. That promo code once again, Sweet Child of Time at Zencastr.com. Tanchico is another story. We got a good amount of our gang in Tanchico. There's 5 of them there. Our first scene in Tanchico, though, is with Leandrin. She's scolding her 2 underlings. She only has 2 pals left. That's Jane and Chesil. And they're kind of being a little defiant against Leandrin here. You can tell they're not 100% on board. But they're playing around with these cool weapons that they have. This is the first sight we see of that balefire shooter. Maggedion comes in, still kind of disguised as a servant, and she gifts the bracelet over to Leandrin. And she hasn't revealed who she is yet. But this is the first time that I've noticed that Maggedion, who gave her the bracelet, has these black tattoo fingers. Mm-hmm. This is the first episode that I've noticed that. How about you?
No, I've noticed it.
How far back?
I think immediately or whenever, if it wasn't immediate as soon as it started.
Okay, so she's always had those black fingers.
Yeah. Maybe there have been times when you might have thought it was blood because, she does do a lot of peeling blood out of people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I brought it up because I kind of have a theory about it because every time we see one of the other chosen, Lanfear, Ravine, even Samael, they have these rings on their hands that looks like brass knuckles. It covers all 4 of their fingers and they wear that. And so they can wield the power. And I believe that those rings are kind of like what protects their bodies from getting harmed by using this thing. And I think that she is using it when she's not supposed to be using it. And that's why her fingers are turning black.
Could be. They're wearing 4 on each, somehow, rings that are stones of Robert Jordan's. If you guys played Diablo 2, you'd understand this, but it was... They were rings. You could wear 2 rings at once, and these rings gave you a +1 to each of your skills, so they were super sought after. It was just an immediate, if you had 2 of them, that was a +2 to every single skill you had to your spells and all of that. So your spells would be 2 levels plus just by wearing these 2 rings.
Everybody listening right now is thinking about, who's read the books, is thinking about Gawain, Elaine's brother, because he gets hold of some rings later on in the story, and he has multiple rings, and each ring intensifies his power. And if you have a whole bunch of rings, then it keeps doubling until it's way too powerful for you to handle. And shit happens. I mean, it sounds identical here. What's that game called, James?
Diablo 2.
Okay, Diablo 2 is good friends with Wheel of Time, it sounds like. All right.
I think if you were 10 years younger, Steve, you would have been fucking obsessed with Diablo 2 when it came out. I'm not kidding. You would have been.
Okay, all right. Yeah. As it is now, I don't even play any games at all. So 10 years ago, I might have given it a shot. Yeah, as it is, we're talking with Leandrin and her 2 pals. They head off to the Panarch's palace. Now that they have these 2 bracelets, they're like, we need the collar to complete the set. We're collectors over here. So they're heading to the palace to do that.
During this, I felt like I skipped an episode, but I'm like, no, I didn't. Because I had forgotten that they were like, oh, the wrist thing was gone, the bracelet, the gauntlet, whatever you want to call it, that's gone. So we immediately need to go here. But it just felt like I was missing something. And my guess is just because the previous episode was, we didn't catch up with any of them. So it was like, oh, what a mind fog, if you will, kind of as if Maggedion removed stuff from my mind.
Maybe she did, yeah.
I really loved when they were eating Matt and Nynaeve, and he's like, why are there no forks here? Why is everything not a fork?
I like that too, because I've been eating with chopsticks for years, and I still really suck at them. I cheat. What I do with my chopsticks is I put them so they're parallel with each other and about 1 inch away, and then I use it as just like a scoop. I don't actually chopstick them. Can you actually do the chopstick thing?
Yeah, for some reason I can. It seems like something that, James just can't figure this out. No, yeah, I'm good at it.
It seems like the perfect thing for you, actually, because you don't like eating with your hands. And some food kind of invites you to eat with your hands, and you use a fork or a spoon in those situations. I think chopsticks would be ideal for like eating chips or Cheetos or things like that.
People say that, but for chips, I just will either use a spoon or like if I need to, I just put it in between the fork and like let it hang off like that.
Yeah.
And with things like Cheetos, that's just perfect for a spoon.
I was in a shop yesterday in the northern neck of Virginia, like a little country store, and I stopped in to get some coffee. And there was a thing on the wall that was like a quote from some local dude named Jim, and he was like, "Napkins are a waste because you're losing all that good flavor off your fingers," which implies that Jim is like licking his fingers all up.
Napkins are a waste because you should just be using utensils so you don't need a napkin. My napkin consumption is cut in half. I only need it for like, hey, my mouth is a little, like maybe there's a drip of some soup on my chin. Hey, get a napkin for that. But I don't need to use them.
All right. Well, Jim, you and Jim kind of agree, but for different reasons. That's how that works. Same side, different reasons. So where are we now?
Tanchico, it's a beautiful setting, guys. Was this set or were they filming on location somewhere?
They filmed in location.
Damn, I need to know where they were so I can visit it.
If you listen back to our season 3, episode 1, I think I went over all the filming locations and I've forgotten since then.
Okay.
So if I can research myself and see what Steve had to say about that.
But we're to where they have all gathered and they're like, all right, we're going to this one palace place to find this necklace, right?
Yeah.
So you don't play video games, but anyone who does play like fantasy MMORPGs where you can dress yourself, this is the shit people look like, where there's really no matching style, especially the Gleeman just being like, everyone's kind of like, oh, we look like very flagrant and very eye-catching, and then the Gleeman is just, oh, he looks like he should be in Bloodborne, and it looks like he's about to destroy a demon with his bare hands.
I mean, I was thinking Clint Eastwood myself, like the good, the bad, and the ugly is what I was going with. But no matter what, you're right. They're definitely like a D&D crew here coming in. And yeah, Matt's got this cool catchphrase that I probably would have caught on. Let's go, Tanchico. Like, I love that one. But yeah, Leandrin kills the guards in the hallway here. And then we have our Scooby gang follows them and they all split up. Nynaeve says at one point, whoever finds that collar, just get your ass out here and like split. Like, don't wait for the rest of us. She does not take her own advice later.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Nynaeve's an idiot. So they're in the Panarch's palace looking for that thing. Leandrin has the 2 bracelets and she's proudly wearing them and she's getting guided by whispers, it seems. And she's getting guided to the right place, but she just doesn't have a good eye for what a collar is. She overlooks it. But before we get to that point, Tom is recounting old stories of Elaine and old days of Andor and days when Gabriel was not there. So Tom is quick enough to figure out this guy Gabriel is no good, probably one of the chosen. You better go let your mom know. So they're getting chased around by Jane, and she's got that balefire like machine gun thing after them. And Tom is all like, go tell your mom about what's happening with Gabriel because that's more important than anything else right now. Meanwhile, I'll cover you. And he does the hero thing once again. I don't know. I guess that's his fate. He just likes to cover people while they escape. That's just his thing.
And it's insinuated. At first, I thought when, he's talking like, oh, I've known you for such a long time. And she's like, oh, wait, I don't know any of these stories. I thought this was going to be, oh, we find out Tom is a dark friend and is trying to work to defeat them. But then once, Gabriel's brought up, he's like, huh? And then he puts the pieces together. I'm like, thank God he's not a dark friend. Good. And then I think we're not hearing his full side of the story on what he was to her mother's court because she's like, what were you? And he's like, just go. I made a promise to her to protect you or, you and your brothers, the kingdom, whatever. So there's something that he's probably running from. that happened. Maybe he was supposed to be protecting her sister, and then she went off and went into, the Aes Sedai battles and all of that. That could be a thing. But we won't know, guys, because the show is done.
Yeah, we won't know. And plus, this is going a completely different direction from the books, obviously, because I'm going to give you another spoiler from the books. Can I do that real quick here?
Yeah,
because this is a really fun one. So spoiler for anybody, skip ahead 30 seconds. In the books, Tom and Moraine are a thing. They end up getting married, and Tom becomes Moraine's warder. So I'm not sure what path they would have had for Tom. Because all along, Tom was he was on the court and he was high up with Morghese and he was hooking up with her at that time. But then he goes on to marry Moraine and they become lovers. So it's really up in the air what would have happened with them.
Maybe it would be weird, but Elaine's warder?
Who, Tom become Elaine's warder?
Yeah.
Oh, you say it in the show here.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of was leaning towards Avienda because this is completely off of the books 100% because none of these people really are hooked up in these ways. Avienda and Elaine are not having this relationship, but I think it's leaning towards that. In the books, what happens is that Elaine becomes the first Aes Sedai to bond a woman warder. Whoa. And it's not Avienda. It's not even a character that we've met yet. So there's really not any reason to spoil that.
Yeah.
But that's who becomes her warder, is another woman.
So that would make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, is able to, not Tom, Elaine is able to defeat Jane here with that balefire thing. And I wanted to explain the balefire a little bit and what happens with this. I mean, it looks like a machine gun that she can't handle because it has too much power. That's why it keeps...
I wouldn't say this looks like a machine gun.
Well,
also,
it acts like one.
Yeah, it would have been very funny if it shortens out for the dark friend and then she's like, oh, dang it, Daddy would have bought an Uzi like in Night of the Comet. That would have been rad.
For you, it would have been rad. For the rest of us, it would have been like, huh? What the fuck?
I think the Venn diagram's maybe 50% of the people who are really rocking with Wheel of Time also are aware of and have watched Night of the Comet.
Okay, all right. I'll take you on that one. So Elaine wants to figure out what happens when you balefire a person, and she gets her chance right here. Basically disintegrates the person. And then you see that it kind of reverses Jane's actions. So it took her out of existence, and it even took her past out of existence as well, as far back as to when she first grasped that weapon. So basically by killing her, she also reversed time for Jane as well. That's what the implication is and why you see that weird figure behind her. They don't explain it very well in the show here, but I'm trying to explain it as best as I can to you.
Someone somewhere at that moment is like, wait, I'm a virgin again?
It doesn't go back that far. It just goes back as far as to when she entered the doorway. That's
okay. Someone somewhere is like, I'm a virgin again?
She does get around pretty quick. And it kills your soul as well. She will never be able to be reincarnated again. Because reincarnation is a thing in this world. You kind of expect to be reincarnated over and over and over again. And it's a big deal if you're not, even though you don't remember it happening, it's a big deal if you're not able to anymore.
That's what, just start lighting everyone up in a line. Say the wheel is for real done now.
We're with Matt and Min now. We're going to follow Matt and Min around. They find this storage room and they're bickering as they rummage, as they're wont to do. And Matt is imagining how great the world would be without the one power, no weaves, no visions. Min's on board with that, of course. She loves that. While he's poking around, he inadvertently is transported into that red doorway. And that's pretty much what we know this thing as, is the Terangreal red doorway. This is the same red doorway that Min keeps seeing Matt, being hung on. Mm-hmm. He goes inside, and this is where the fun begins, James. I love this part. We get all Twin Peaks and Alice in Wonderland here. This dude is this is not CGI. This dude was dressed up like that. This is all practical effects.
I wrote down Ron Howard's Tabaxi because it's Ron Howard's the Grinch, but I thought this was a cat. And a Tabaxi in D&D is a cat person. That's what I was thinking. I was like, wowzers, this is freaky as hell.
I mean, I love the angle they took with this. And I'm anxious to, well, I'm not, I would have been anxious to see how far they would have gone with this because there's two magical creatures that are inside this doorway, the eelfin and the aelfin. One of them will answer 3 questions for you, and one of them will grant you 3 wishes. So the dude we met right here is the 3-wish genie guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt inadvertently, ends up in his lair, and of course he's kooky. Of course he's scary. I don't have to go into that. This guy's a creep, and I love it. I love these scenes. First thing he asks, are you carrying iron, music, or devices of light, like a flashlight, a candle, a guitar, a flute, anything of that sort? So it kind of clues us in, like, he doesn't like these things. If you bring one of these things in here, he might not like it. And Matt's like, no, I don't have any of that stuff. Matt wasn't even expecting to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that he's like this 3-wish genie, but we learn it like while he's making his wishes, that he doesn't even know that he's making these wishes. So he inadvertently wishes to not be pushed around by the one power anymore. That's his first. His second is to take all his memories out of him and to fix him. And the third, wisely, is to get the fuck out of here. So he didn't even realize that was his third wish, but he didn't set any terms for this guy. So this guy gets exactly what he wants. What he wants is to feel the emotions of humans. And then he wants to feel how they feel when they die. So that's why he hangs Matt up in this doorway. And he gets this big, that neck, was that his real neck? Was that Donald Finn's neck?
Probably.
Or was that like a prosthetic neck? Do you remember like when it looked like it was like 2 feet long?
No, I think that's just, you can stretch a neck good.
I've never seen a neck like Donald Finn's neck, and it was intense. And now he's got that cool scar around it where he's been hung. I mean, I don't know.
I guess you've never seen a giraffe, fucker.
Never. What is that?
It's a person with a huge neck.
Matt is a giraffe, I suppose, then. He gets his wishes, but he didn't set the price. The price is he's going to be hung the doorway, but luckily Min is right there to knock Chisel on the head and rescue Matt from his fate. And Matt is about to die here, and she does this really crappy version of CPR. It's obvious she never studied CPR, but she can do it nonetheless.
I was thinking, does this world even have CPR? Because I just have Aes Sedai and Wisdoms to do all of this.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, because it seems like she kind of has the gist of what CPR is, but she's never been trained.
Yeah.
And I think if she's working as like a barkeep, that's probably one of the things they would train you on, or at least you would have witnessed it at some point, like through being a barkeep in a rough town.
I think the Heimlich you would know, CPR no.
Maybe I'm getting those confused.
I think at Burger King we had a big sheet to explain how to do the Heimlich, but not CPR.
Okay, yeah, okay, because CPR, it is a class you have to take. And at my job, we got to take it every 3 years to get like CPR certified every 3 years. But she didn't need CPR certification. Just bang on his chest a bunch and he'll eventually start screaming and ask for a kiss, which I love the fact that they did not kiss here. I was kind of relieved in a way because I was like, if this turns cheesy, it did not turn cheesy.
She should have just spat on his face.
He's got a cool necklace now. Remember, Elida came through and she had that bracelet. He's got this necklace around his neck, this fox necklace, and they don't go into it at all because this is like, I think the last scene we see with Matt for the season here. But later on, we realize that necklace protects him from the one power. So nobody can one power him while he's wearing that necklace. Not even Chosen. He's immune.
Hell yeah, dude. When that guy, the fox man, asked about, also very much like a Mighty Boosh character, it would have been funny if, like, you go in to see that fox guy and he's like, do you have iron? And you just go, oh, don't worry, I'm anemic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we do got iron in our blood, don't we?
Uh-huh.
Oh, fox guy. Okay. Leandrin, she's being guided by these whispers to the collar. So is Nynaeve. She's also being guided by the whispers. Leandrin gets pissed and throws a bunch of shit on the floor. Nynaeve picks it up. It's the collar.
Yeah.
Woohoo. So she runs out and she waits for her friends because she's got the collar, which is not the right move. Leandrin comes, and of course, Leandrin wins this fight because Nynaeve still can't channel yet. Takes a big old chains Nynaeve up, throws her in the ocean, leaves her for dead like an anchor. Not looking good. She takes that collar too. That collar is still in the hands of Leandrin.
Is it though? We only see the bag. We only see a bag in her hands. I think the necklace is not in there. The collar is not there. I think that was to fake her out, to think like, hey, we got this. So Nynaeve can then go in safely to grab her friends. That's why she was waiting and kind of disobeyed her own orders of waiting. I hope that's what she was doing, because then she's just like being stupid waiting for her friends out in the open. So I think Nynaeve is smart enough and was like, I know Leandrin will do something. She's not just going to like slit my throat and watch me bleed out and die. She will do this in a way to torture me and leave and then be on her way, because we don't see inside that bag when Leandrin goes into the... Why are we even debating this? The show's over.
Because it's fun to debate, because I mean, I want to side with you here. But it seems to me like they were hard pressed, like at the end of this scene. I mean, I should finish the scene here. Like, of course, Nynaeve wants to change Leandrin, and that's not going to happen. She throws Nynaeve in the ocean. Nynaeve remembers the love she has for her child. She's struggling. She's able to break her, her block, and do the full Moses out of the sea. And I believe when she emerges from the water, she puts all the water back where it was, which is, I'm glad she did that, because it would have bothered me if she left it the other way. I believe that they are now on the hunt for Leandrin and Maggedion to get that collar. That's what I strongly believe, because the 5 of them got on that ship, and it seems like they're like determined to like have a mission to go after Leandrin. That's the only reason they would be going after Leandrin, was to get that collar.
Well, I thought of that ending scene where we see everyone like, hey, we're going to meet up. I thought they were meeting up with each other. They have all done what they needed to do. They saved the 2 rivers. He became the Dragon Reborn, or the Karakarn. Or I guess they still need to kill Leandrin because they killed all their friends. So that's why they might be still going after her. I don't know. I don't think she really... Let's ask Nynaeve. Who's the actress?
Zoe Robbins.
Let's ask her if she believes, in heart of hearts, was the actual collar still in that bag, or was it a decoy bag?
Okay, let's ask her. Yes, it sure was. See, James, it was. I was right. It was in that bag, and now that gang, their mission, Matt, Min, Elaine, Nynaeve, Tom, they're on a mission to go after Maggedion and Leandrin, and I bet there's going to be some ass kicking that way. So that's where that gang is heading, after them.
I actually think there's not going to be an ass kick. They're going to go be dark friends with her. They realize, there's nothing we can do. And they're going to just straight up eviscerate Rand the same way that What's-Her-Nuts did to that other dark friend.
You know, back in episode 4, the Ruidian episode, we saw like a shot of all them like wearing like their dark friend clothes. Maybe they're going to find that wardrobe, and they can join in with Lanfear and crew.
Let's do it.
I don't know. And my whole point is they're going that way. And then we have Perrin, of course. He's with the White Cloaks. And then we have his girlfriend Fail, and the 2 Aiel women are going to be going after him. Everybody is still kind of on their own path at this point. And Rand, he's our last guy we got to talk about. Him, Moraine, Egwene, Aviendha, Lan. That's our other 5. And they're in the Aiel Waste. And this is our 3rd and final storyline. And in reference to what you were saying just now, like everybody is going to be meeting up. Now the mission that Rand has is to take all of his Aiel warriors and go to the Stone of Tyr to get that sword.
Okay.
So that's where they're heading. So everybody is heading in like 3 different directions at the end of this episode. Sorry. But yeah, let's start with the Aiel Waste. Rand is harvesting that squash for Alcera. We remember that whole situation. And I got to hand it to Egwene's actress in this scene, because she did a really good job. Like, this is the first scene with Rand and Egwene. This is towards the beginning of the show. And like, she's like reluctantly picking up the squash for Rand. Like, it's like she doesn't even want to help him. She doesn't even want to talk to him. She's like, the wise ones are waiting for us. And like, she has to interact with him, but you can tell that it's totally against her will at this time.
She's upset with him.
Very upset with him. I mean, how could she not be? Like, she should be like slapping his ass.
But we did see sort of at that end of the episode where she finds out he did not know Lanfear was doing that.
Right.
And I think she is more so now afraid for her friend opposed opposed to
Sure.
afraid of her friend.
That makes sense. And like this next scene will kind of confirm that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we get a little fake out here is like we see Rand and Lanfear and they meet up at the Choden crash site, the same place where that Death Star fell from the sky.
So gnarly.
Yeah. And Rand really has the upper hand in this whole conversation. He is playing the antagonist in this scene, and he's the one telling Lanfear what's what. And I mean, he won my heart this whole episode. Like, if like recency bias was a thing, then I would say he's my favorite actor from the show, because this last episode, he's acted his ass off. Some of the previous seasons, he wasn't my favorite, but in this particular episode, he absolutely kills it. This is a trap here that they've laid for Lanfear. And we learn this because he pushes Lanfear away. She's getting ready to attack. Egwene knocks her out. And then we find out that this whole thing was just a trap that Rand and Egwene had worked out.
Mm-hmm.
They were laying in their little sleepy spot, and they got all their powerful friends around them. And the whole point was to lure Lanfear so they could all take her out, because they had everything right there to do it. Lanfear knew that what was happening, so she did not go that route. She went the sneaky route. She instead went to Melindra, who we find out this episode is also a dark friend that swore the dark oaths. And Lanfear is going to use a more sneaky, instead of like directly attacking them like they expect, do some sneak attacks. So this is the first setup, is talking to Melindra.
What Rand should have done was been like, yeah, let's have some sex, but I want to have sex in the real world. They're making out. They go into the real world. Then he stabs her. She looks around. Oh, no, all my enemies are here.
I mean, you might be joking, but you're 100% correct. That is what he should have done. Played along. Played dumb. Yes.
That's what you do with Freddy Krueger, guys.
Are you going to be battling Freddy Krueger anytime soon, James? I got to know.
Okay. As an update, I think on a previous episode, I had said that I want to do, I was just pondering, like, that's how you take out Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And then I came up with a podcast idea where for 30 days, 4 episodes, weekly podcast, so it's a mini series, every single night, me and some co-hosts, we just watch Freddy Krueger movies in hopes to have a Freddy dream where we try and battle him and defeat him in the dream. I don't think I can do this because Nicole has said I will need to sleep in another room if this happens.
Why? Why?
1, she doesn't want to fall asleep to a Freddy Krueger movie. And 2, I have night terrors. Even if it's one night out of the week I have a night terror, that's still more than usual. Usually it's like, now it's maybe down to 2, 3, every season, maybe 2. So she does not want to do this.
Okay,
and
okay.
Maybe I can do it where instead of falling asleep to it, maybe my bedtime's around 10 p.m. At 8 p.m., I start a Freddy Krueger movie and really like focus in on it.
And yeah, stop it at like one of the climaxes where it seems like Freddy has the upper hand.
Or I make just a long cut of every single dream scene. So like just when Freddy's there, it's every single one. And I watch that for an hour and then I go to sleep and then it's good.
I mean, it sounds good to me. I think he needs to be killed. Somebody needs to do this. And I think it's really noble that despite like your terrors and like these things that could transpire, despite the consequences, you're willing to do it anyway.
Yeah. Jose liked the idea, but not enough to be like, I'm on board for this. The only person but it's not indicative of, is this a good idea for a podcast? Mohawk Johnson, follow him on Mo Hates Media on any platform. He is just down to do any podcast with me, so I don't know if it's actually a good idea.
That sounds like me too. Like I would, you're lucky I'm not there in Chicago. I'd be bothering the hell out of you.
Real quick, no, your wife is lucky you guys don't live in Chicago because then she'd be like, I cannot keep falling asleep to Freddy Krueger movies.
Let's see. I skipped over some Samael stuff. Samael is being held captive by Moraine. This is another cool plan that Moraine has. She needs somebody male to teach Rand the male part of the channeling. So she's got Samael here, and he talks about his history with Luz Theron, his scar, how he refuses to fix his scar because he wants, Rand to see it before he dies. Kind of reminds me of like my tooth here. I refuse to like fix my tooth because I want my mom to see it before I kill her. She wasn't watching me as a child, and I hit my face on a dresser, and this is what happened. So, that's my revenge.
We're two petty little bitches.
I swear. But then Maggedion shows up with Samael, and she's got this creepy little way about her, of course, and she wants to learn how to kill a Forsaken or one of the Chosen. So he's her perfect victim. So Maggedion's going to go to town on our guy here, Samael. And the reason she does that is so he can't teach Rand. So she's like doing two things here.
Nicole, I knew she would love this. So when we see what happens to him, I kept going, Nicole, you need to stop looking at your phone. You need to look at this. And then she looks up and she goes, whoa, this is rad. Because it's just him like a spider web of like tendons hanging from the ceiling, and his body's ripped open. You see his face all messed up, but not enough to like be unrecognizable. It was It was Freddy Krueger level shit.
Yeah, and spider web is the appropriate term because that's what Maggedion refers to herself as, is the spider in the shadows. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool that she made that web out of his entrails. And at that point, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but at that point, too, not only did Nicole get to see the cool spider web, she also got to see Lanfear back in her goth outfit again because she's wearing that cool hat and her makeup's back.
Yeah, Maleficent mixed with a Star Wars character that I don't remember from, not Amidala, but the guys who were in episode 1 with like the alien-looking dudes that had those big old hats on.
Yeah, I know here their name starts with a V, and they went, victory, when they got to blow up the planet. Anyway, we're back with Rand and his crew, and they're on the way to Al-Khair Dal to proclaim himself officially as the Karakarn. Again, this is like a world of traditions and ritual, just like the White Tower, for good or for bad. And this place that they're going, that little stone that they're standing on in the center there, is supposed to be like shaped like a cup or like a bowl so that like your voice carries to everyone. And that's the reason that they're able to like whisper, but everybody can hear them just because of like the acoustics of their surroundings. So Rand's whole intention here is to bring the truth to the people. He's like a hardcore, like Bernie Sanders type guy. Like the people got to do this thing. It doesn't matter how ugly it is. They need to know the truth. Ruwalker's all like, I don't think that's a great idea. We need to, keep things kind of the way they are. We need to keep our rituals. If everybody knew they were an oath breaker, it could lead to like, mass, who knows what. We don't want to do that. And Avienda, meanwhile, is back there talking to Egwene. She's like, you don't have to stick with Rand. You can do your own thing, Mm-hmm. You can choose your own path. And yeah, I'm agreeing with Avienda here. And all the clans are there. All the Aiel show up for this meeting here because they were all called. The wise ones did their thing where they did like the group text to everybody. Everybody's here, including the Shidao. The Shidao Aiel are over there by themselves off to the side. We can see a clear distinction between all of the other like 12 clans, and then the Shidao are over there by themselves. There's a very clear distinction. So let's see. Oh yeah, Lanfear. Lanfear's back, and instead of doing this direct attack, she's going to do these sneak attacks. So she's going to use Couladin, give him some fake like temporary tattoos.
I put that
Is
down
that what
too.
They are? And that's her plan, is like, you're going to be the Karakarn, not Rand, because she knows that's going to make a bit of a snafu there in the waist.
Which is crazy because if he can't channel, they know also he's not from the wetlands. It just, there's so many parts of the prophecy that it doesn't check. So why would they believe he's the guy?
I think they don't realize that Rand is able to channel.
Okay.
If Rand wasn't able to channel and do that rain dance thing, then they probably would have gone with Couladin because he was the first and he looks like them. So I think they weren't expecting that, or they just weren't aware that was going to happen.
He making that dry land wet, yay.
Wet it up. And so meanwhile, we have Lan and Moraine. They have their own separate plans. Lan is off to the side doing some meditation, and Melindra is doing what she's supposed to, which is to go and kill Lan. That's what her orders are from the Dark One, or from the dark side. Lanfear is like her agent. So Melindra has a real interesting dilemma here. The whole reason she became a Dark Friend was to save Lan and help him become king again. And then the Dark Friends are trying to get her to kill Lan, who's the guy that she became a Dark Friend for. She kind of like in a no-win situation here. I think she got off very easy, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's acting like it's such a big deal, but all that's going to happen is she's going to have 10 minutes of like a little bit of pain while she's dying. So she can utter this cool phrase, duty is heavier than a mountain, death is lighter than a feather.
And makes you stiff as a board.
Makes you stiff. Yes. And it seems like she just has 10 seconds of pain and then she dies. And then we realize that her soul can never be reincarnated again. But big deal. It seems like she got off very easy. Do you agree here? Because it seems like she broke a dark oath. It seems like breaking a dark oath should be more punishable than that.
Yeah, but when I said like those idiots, I was talking about the Dark Friends calling on her. Maybe Lanfear didn't know what was the deal with why she took this oath.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
What the worst person to do this to, which is like, hey, kill the guy that you made an oath to save with us. And it's like, oh, she's not going to kill the dude. Why would she? She's going to die. She's been willing to die to create and make her country nice or even exist again. So yeah, I think that's why she got off easy, because this was her goal all along, was to find this man and say like, hey, this is your duty. And maybe she should have said like, hey, we only know of me and you, but if I'm still here and you're still here, there might be more of us out there.
Sure, right. And I think that's exactly what she was tasked to do, because if she did what she was supposed to do here, well, if she did what Lanfear asked her to do and killed Lan, which she had every opportunity to do so for like a whole minute, if she had done that, then Lanfear would have won that fight with Moiraine.
Yeah.
Because it would have been a one-on-one fight instead of a two-on-one fight. So yeah, a little failure there on that part. And I just couldn't believe how easy Melindra got off out of her dark oath. It seemed like it should have been like, you're going to suffer for 3 years and feel the fire in your heart. And I don't know. She just died. That's it.
Or your skin is peeled off and you fall into the sand. Like that would suck.
Yeah. Or you're like covered in honey and then dragged through the sand so it sticks to you. And then a bunch of ants want to eat the honey and then make an anthill out of the sand that's stuck to your body. So that goes inside your body and you're still alive for all this too.
You're thrown in a wicker man and it's lit on fire and you're covered in honey.
Yeah. It seems like honey is like the worst thing that can happen to you. And according to us anyway, because honey plays into both of our torture victims.
I was just putting it in there because you threw honey in there as well.
Oh, copycat. Okay. All right. Where are we now? Moiraine and Rand. We're going to get a little moment with them. And this is, am I going back and forth here? I think I'm going back and forth a little bit here.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's fine.
It's fine. We get a scene with Rand and Moiraine, and they finally come among themselves. And
oh, yeah, they do.
What did I just say? Oh, my God. She comes clean about everything. She comes clean about land. Yeah, she does. Just like James out the shower. She comes clean about Lanfear. She suspected the Egwene thing, but she wasn't quite sure. But the fact is that she's never left Rand's side, which if you go back and rewatch this whole series, everywhere Rand is, Moraine's right beside him. If he's in one town, she's also in that town. So she's right about there. And she's going to protect him or die trying, because we know that Lanfear has that plan we talked about with Cúladan and Savannah. So that's what Moraine's plan is. While Rand is out there with Cúladan trying to figure out who's who, Moraine's going to get his back, and fight Lanfear, which is what they do. So now I'm going to get back on track. Big scene. Savannah, who is the one that looks kind of like she's the wise one that resembles doesn't matter.
Yeah, her name's Savannah.
Her name's Savannah, and she has funny hair, and she changes her look like every hour or so. The woman who changes her look a lot. She introduces Cúladan as the Caracal to the crowd here, and everyone loves it. All he says is like a few like basic simple words. Everybody's eating it up. Sounds like a Take Back America plan. But then Rand comes in here and he's countering everybody with some facts. And he's got a great delivery. He's got a great speech. But because he was coming on second after Cúladan, it's kind of a little questionable. So everybody's kind of like, nah, boo, 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 boo. So he's kind of forced to tell them the truth. And that's the only way that he can prove, first off, to the wise ones, he is who he is.
Yeah.
Because that proves that Cúladón did not go into those arches. It proves that Rand did. He saw through the eyes of his ancestors. That upsets everybody, of course, because everybody is now having a moment of crisis of like not knowing who they actually are or where they come from.
Yeah, and how this is set up, I thought he was going to start murdering people, of saying like, hey, if you're not with me, you're against me, fuck off. But not at all what happens. I love what happens.
Right. It does seem like that. And you do see a very clear division of the Shidal that still are refusing the call. So just like earlier in the story, back in episode 4, we saw how the Aiel got split into 2 distinct different parts. It's now happening again. We have the Aiel who follow Rand, and then we have the Shidal Aiel who are not following Rand. So now they've been split once again, just like the prophecy says. Rand came and broke the Aiel in 2. He brought that cool rainstorm, which is awesome. What's even more awesome is, I'm going back into book lore. If the scene were to continue on at what I believe is like the point in the story, then a big fountain would have emerged from the earth, and it would have been a water source that the Aiel would have for the rest of the time. Rand basically made a big river right there where they could have water and have access to water.
Oh, if only he made 2 rivers.
No joke, man. You got to get back home, I guess. But yeah, Rhuarc leads the call here. Rhuarc is the one who, like, right before the rain, he's the one who's like, hey, Rand is our guy. Everybody believes him. Rand is now one with the land. And Egwene is looking at Rand while he's doing all this. He's got all this power, the Aiel on his side. He's like making it rain here, and he's in the middle of making his big river fountain thing. Egwene is like, Rand, stop. What the hell are you doing? Smirks. He just smirks at her, gives her some side eye and smirks. That's the end of the episode with Rand. Like, we're not sure where he's going to go, but he's not going to be listening to Egwene. It's pretty clear.
Oh, I thought he was starting to undo, like he was listening to her. That's how I took it.
I took it. Yeah, baby, it's up for interpretation. I took it as like, yeah, I don't have to do what you say. I'm going to keep on doing this. I took it as kind of like a, mischievous smirk.
No,
Rand's a good boy, you think?
Yeah. He's a dragon reborn.
He is the dragon. I mean, we've kind of known it all along. It's not a huge spoiler, but I think now is like his big moment. And I think my TV right now is paused to that scene where like he's smirking and the power is all around him. He's got the black power. He's got the white power. He's got a big mix of both. The show is basically all about balance. I think if you had to describe Wheel of Time in one word, that one word would be balance. Mm-hmm. And I hope we can balance out more in the future. And we're not going to see any more episodes, but it would be really nice if I heard about somebody named James McCullum picking up a book every now and then and knowing some stuff. But I mean, because there's so much in the Wheel of Time, you could easily pick up, listeners, you could easily pick up book 4 right now. You would be rereading some stuff, but the story would be moving forward and you would be on board if you started at book 4 right now. I mean, book 5 technically, but you would miss out on a few key moments that happened back in book 4. So that's what I'd recommend. If anybody I recommend all the books, of course, if you want to be a completist and learn some of these characters that never made it to the show that play a part later on. But book 4 is a nice book to pick up right now.
Steve?
Yes?
Speaking of books.
Yeah?
Maybe I had this planned all along.
What?
I do have Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, Star Wars. I'm reading this over these dang Wheel of Time books, guys.
All right, that's fine. I mean, I approve of the Star Wars expanded universe as well. I'm all good with that. So I can't blame you. And Zahn is a great writer. I read the Thrawn series, those 3 books. Fantastic stuff. I mean, I should reread it actually, but there's too much other stuff out there.
My brother used to read them to me just when I was a kid.
Like bedtime reading kind of thing?
No, just during the day because I was a doy kid, didn't know how to read, and he could.
That's nice of him. That's cool. And plus, was he acting out the characters, like doing like different voices and stuff?
No, because he's just like a year or 2 older than me, so it's not like he had the foresight to. No, he was like, I'm reading these, but I will read them out loud so you know the information as well.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I don't expect you to pick up the book right now, James, or anybody else, but just suggesting. Book 1 is a great place to start. Book 4 is acceptable. I had a couple more last minute notes here because more happens beyond this that I think we might have missed over. Moraine and Lanfear had their fight.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason Lan was able to get the upper hand on Lanfear is because his sword is a power-made sword, made by the One Power. Did they ever talk about that in the show?
I don't know, but it's cool looking. I assumed it had some abilities.
Yeah, it was forged using the One Power, so it can defeat a Forsaken if necessary. That's why when he like grazes his blade against like Lanfear's thigh, she tries to heal it herself, but she's not able to because this sword is like, it's stronger than she is. So if he had run her through with his sword, then she might have gone ahead and died. We see Moraine, she gets run through big time with Lanfear's sword. And a little stretch of the imagination there, how she could pull that sword out. But a few things we have to remember is she had the soccer man ball. Mm-hmm. So she had extended powers. And then she had that last minute burst of Swan's powers coming through her before Swan died. So with those two things, I think I can excuse her pulling the sword out of herself and living.
And healing herself. I wrote down, Aes Sedai, heal thyself, because I was like, oh, she won't be able to do this. But then because she had that, little
soccer
trinket,
man.
I was like, oh, she's going to be able to heal herself. It not only, I think if you double your power, you should be able to heal yourself, or at least be like, okay, I'm going to be able to make it a couple days until we find someone else to do this.
I don't know. I'm going to contradict you, I think, because it's supposed to be a thing where you're not able to heal yourself, and only the chosen, Lanfear, Moghedien, only people like that can heal themselves. Even the Dragon Reborn, Rand, cannot heal himself because he takes on quite a few wounds throughout the rest of the story that he's not able to heal himself. And even other Aes Sedai can't heal him either. So I think that she pulled the sword out of herself, but she didn't necessarily heal herself. She still needs one of those wise ones that's a couple of yards away to run over there and heal her. I think behind the scenes, that's what happened, is Bear and Melinda came over there and helped her out. That's what I think. Or maybe Matt's sisters took a charter bus over there, and they can heal now. Maybe Matt's sisters showed up and healed Moraine.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, they need to meet anyway because they're going to be learning to be Aes Sedai in the future. But yeah, she slices Lanfear's throat, not with Lan's sword, but just with the One Power. And so Lanfear runs away. She has no other choice but to run away because she's facing two strong people here. And she runs off to Karheen. That you can see the white buildings behind her and that portal that she runs through. So she's running back to the original town that she and Rand met. Mm-hmm. So it's like she's going back to the beginning. So from this point on here, to conclude our story, to conclude this season, we have Liandrin and Moghedien. They're now going to be working together because we see them, a little scene with the two of them, because Liandrin has the bracelets and now she has the collar, and she says that she wants to work with Moghedien. Moghedien says, I don't work well with others. Neither does Liandrin. So they're a perfect pair. And yeah, we already said the rest of everybody else. Lan consoles Moraine. Rand's giving Egwene a look, so they're together. Matt, Nynaeve, Elaine, Min, and Tom are on the boat looking for Liandrin. Perrin is at the behest of the White Cloaks right now. Mm-hmm. I think I've already kind of spoiled some of that. He's going to be working with them in the future. Yeah, that's our show, James. That's it. I feel like I did a really random job of wrapping this one up, but hopefully people they're still with me. They're listening. They got to be.
Yeah.
We love this show. It's obvious. We want it to go on. And I wanted to shout out three particular characters. Three folks I've always loved throughout this whole series, one of which we only saw one season. So for number 3, I'm going to put Barney Harris. He's our original Matt. I loved his look. I loved his vibe. I'd love to see him in more stuff in the future. So he is one of my favorite. I guess he's my favorite male character from the show because my other two characters are female. So for my favorite male character of the show, Barney Harris as Matt. No offense to Donald Finn. He did great too. I'm a Barney guy. Second favorite, I really want to say she's my first favorite, but I'm going to say second because my first favorite gets a Spirit Award too. So for number 2 would go to Liandrin. That's Kate Fleetwood. I've just been loving her this entire season, and I've been spying her in other shows as well, like other British shows. She showed up in a show called Rain Dogs. It's like a British sitcom. She plays like a punk rocker in that show. I love every scene that she's on screen. I don't necessarily like her character, but she's just captivating to me. Like, I just love that actress. Number one, I'm going to give it up to our main star of the show, Rosamund Pike, Moraine. She's not my favorite character from the show, and Moraine is not, she's not my favorite actress. It's not my favorite character, but for the spirit and what she's done for the Wheel of Time community, she's doing the audio versions of the books now. She is heralding the Save Wheel of Time campaign. She's doing everything she can to keep Wheel of Time going. She's definitely on board for another season if that could ever happen, which, you know, we're kind of like naysayers here. I'm not sensing that it's going to continue. Mm-hmm. But she is fighting the good fight for it. She's posting multiple times a day about Wheel of Time. I think she's going to go down in history as like the number one Wheel of Time supporter because she's just so willing to like jump into the world and speak well of it when she doesn't have to, because she's not obligated to, because they're not doing any press. They're not paying them to do any promotion. So everything she does is of her own accord.
Unless she's getting residuals every time a book is downloaded, okay?
Okay. Well, that might be true
books.
too. Yeah, it's of her own best interest. But I mean, she could just keep her mouth shut and collect that money because it's a built-in audience. Wheel of Time is a built-in audience. Every time she records another audiobook, it's guaranteed that, you know, X amount of people are going to buy it without question.
Yeah, but what about X plus Z? That's even better.
Yeah, and then when you think about the whys in there too, I mean, why stop the show now, James? Why? But Rosamund Pike is my number one spot. How about you, James? Who did you have your eye on for the Wheel of Time? Who do you give your flowers to?
I'll say as one pick, Elaine and Egwene. I'm just clumping those two in together. I don't know why.
Are they the same person?
No, they're just like, it makes more sense for my second pick, which is Bane and Chiad. Those two are one and the same. And Loyal, man, he rules. That's my number one pick.
Yeah, Loyal was wonderful. And he is a character that they did give a send-off to. So we got to say goodbye to him properly. And Bane and Chiad were very well represented, very well done by these two actresses. I can't remember their names, but I mean, there were mysterious characters in the book that showed up and they were represented well. So that's it for our Wheel of Time chat. The next time you talk to me and James, we'll have another topic to discuss. But until then, we encourage you to check out mlmpod.com and join the Patreon. Tell us the Patreon website, James.
Patreon.com/MLMpod, where for $5 a month, you get exclusive content every single Friday. This Friday, when this releases, might be me doing a solo GURPS adventure based on Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, I was going to say, what's a GURP? But I know what a Conan is for sure.
It's a role-playing general universal role-playing system. Generic universal role-playing system by Steve Jackson Games.
Hell yeah. But yeah, until then, we hope you guys have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this Wheel of Time journey. And until then, maybe I'll have a new catchphrase for next time. But for now, I hope you always find water and shade. The end. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.